Today we're in the north basement of the Kern County Museum in Bakersfield, California. This is one of the archive centers. It houses a lot of organics, including several artifacts of my great-great-grandfather, Colonel Thomas Baker, the founder of Bakersfield. Thomas Baker was born in Ohio, in the Zanesville area, and he settled in Iowa Territory around, it looks to be about 1832. From what we can tell, he worked his way out from farmer citizen to effectively the ex officio, the first lieutenant governor of the state of Iowa. We had the discovery of gold in the late 1840s, 1848, and 49. Colonel Baker started realizing there was no way anything more was going to happen for him in Iowa. They came to California not for gold. They came to California to build. But he came down here to settle in 1863 and settled in the area in what was known as the Bona place. He bought 60 acres from the Bona family and settled in the little hovel that they had, a little reed shack. From there started developing and building canals and weirs to start separating the waters from the river waters from the lake waters and to keep the waters from backing back up. There's a flood in 1862 that just literally flooded the entire San Joaquin Valley. They say the waters were just one into the other. It was a very, very heavy flood year. And from that flood, we had many, many trees and rocks and all sorts of debris that came down out of the mountains up above in the area, let's say for Kernville, which is to the east of us in the High Sierra. Those logs and debris settled down here in this area north of town. And what Baker did is take this material and segregated it and separated the land from 40 acres of land on two sides and used the Kern River on the other two sides to create his field, his 40-acre field of what they say was alfalfa. That was known as Baker's Field. Well, we have some really spectacular pieces here, very, very rare pieces of weaponry. First off, we have Colonel Baker's Navy Colt, or Colt Navy as it would have been. That was his pistol, or his sidearm. And this, of course, would have been carried pretty much everywhere he went in these early days out here on the frontier. This was wilderness land. It was a forest of trees, and there was a lot of habitation here for animals. The Native Americans were not a threat in Bakersfield, what's now Bakersfield or Kern Island, but in the Visalia area where he was before, this would have been probably handy to have in the early days because they were in fact a threat to the American settlers. This is a weapon that you would keep for self-protection. That's exactly what this is made for. Back here now we have this incredible slaughter rifle, and I think it's a 58 caliber rifle, octagon barrel. Again, it has a two-stage trigger. We have there's a safety trigger and the release trigger. It is a cap and ball, and this rifle is really in really remarkable shape considering its age. This is the rifle that Colonel Baker carried with him. It is a hunting rifle. It would be used for dropping bear or elk or buffalo or whatever was out there that was needed for food. In 1868, there was a movement to get a post office put in here because, so the story goes, before that, postal mail was left in a hollow in the button willow tree out to the west of town. So they had enough people that the post office required, so they petitioned the post office department for postal service in Kern Island. Once they did that, so the story goes, they needed a name. They had a community meeting, and they wanted to decide on a name for the community. And Colonel Baker was one who did not want it called Bakersville or Bakerstown. He wanted it called something more like Kern Island or something like that. And the community wanted it called Baker's Field. And it was signed off then. The post office granted a postal service here in Bakersfield in 1869. He died of typhoid and pneumonia, and one of the things that he was trying to do is clear the swamps of typhoid. You know, typhoid is a disease related to water, and mosquitoes. but of course he ended up with pneumonia as a result of the typhoid. He died in 1872. He had a very, very large Masonic funeral. He was a master Mason, and the lodge in Visalia came down and gave him a big send-off, marched him clear out to what is known as Union Cemetery, which is on the hill in East Bakersfield now, and it had a great view of the Southern Valley at the time. Now, of course, it's surrounded with community. But Baker Ismore is buried in Bakersfield along with much of the family. There's a Baker plot out at Union Cemetery that is still accessible today.